is going on? Zombies. Alright, if there's one thing I've learned from all the zombie games I've played, The Last of Us, Resident Evil 5, I need a partner. But I don't have any friends. Wait. There's one guy I know who still likes me. He's still around. I gotta go find him. Alright, let's rock. Hello and welcome to the first part of my summer series, The Road to Metal Gear Solid 5. So what the heck is this? What the heck am I doing this summer? I will explain all to you right now. So in my SpongeBob video that kicked off the start of the summer, I talked a little bit about what I was planning to do. I mentioned how last summer I tried to do two series, one on Pikmin and one on Resident Evil, and I wasn't able to finish either. And I learned from my mistakes. You know, I'm busy, I know that, I don't have that much time. So focusing on a series where, you know, I have to complete it in order. I have to go Pikmin 1, 2, 3, Resident Evil 4, 5, 6. That's not good. So this summer, instead of doing something really strict like that, I'm doing something a little bit unstructured. So the story is, as some of you may know if you've been around here for a while, is that I'm a massive Metal Gear Solid fan. And last year, through, you know, the months and months waiting for that game to come out, I kind of did something a little bit weird. I went through this phase of just getting weird games, sometimes cheap, sometimes new, sometimes, you know, random games I'd never played before, things I was just curious about. I started getting a bunch of these games and I just played through a bunch of them. And once I actually got Metal Gear Solid 5, once it came out and I started playing basically nothing but that, it dawned on me how many games I had played up until that point. And I realized I'd never really, played that many games in such a short amount of time. I don't know, me, I kind of, you know, pick one game and I kind of get stuck to it for a long time. That was me up until that point. So I looked at that and then I kind of collected all the games together and I realized this was kind of like my road to Metal Gear Solid 5. And I realized that all of these games were really interesting. And I thought, you know what? Why not just make a video out of it? And the cool benefit of this is, as it's unstructured, if I don't have time to cover all of the games I played, it's not a big deal. Because at the end, I want to talk about Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm gonna make a video about Metal Gear Solid 5. It's finally happening. We're gonna get it done. It's gonna be a great time. So that's what I'm gonna do. If I can't get through all of these in time, I'm gonna just cut straight to it and that's it. So I think it's a better plan for this summer. So without further ado, ZombiU. ZombiU was a great game, and it's a shame that it wasn't profitable and that we probably won't see anything like it ever again. And today I'm going to explain to you why. So ZombiU was one of the Wii U's launch titles, a Ubisoft developed game exclusively on a Nintendo console that wasn't Rabbids and was actually just a whole new thing. In my opinion, this is one of the best zombie games ever made, and one of the only zombie games that's actually earned that horror part in survival horror. So what's the game about? Well, you play as some random survivor of a zombie apocalypse in London. There is some weird plot and this oddly out-of-place Assassin's Creed level of historical conspiracy, but it doesn't matter. The game's story really only serves as a way to force the player to explore different areas and interact with the game's various mechanics. And that's the game's real point. It's a pseudo-open world where you can do whatever you want, to a certain extent, and make up your own story. With the exception of the final section, which you're gonna see a lot of footage of, unfortunately, you can actually do whatever you want, whenever you want, throughout the entire game. It's a zombie apocalypse. The idea is to survive. Nothing else really matters. Yeah, okay, there's some guy telling you where to go every once in a while, but listening to him brings you to new places where you find new things. And at the end of the day, his advice is useful. So it's alright. It's not like they're shoving the story down your throat. If you don't care, you don't have to listen to it, but at least you keep moving forward. The game is about survival and horror. And every single feature seems to have been built with those two themes in mind. The one thing you've probably heard about the game, even if you haven't played it, is how it handles player deaths. Like I said, this isn't really a story-driven game, so a standard game over screen with restart or checkpoint options isn't a requirement. The developers realized that and came up with a more valuable and domain-specific implementation of a death system. When you die, you get reset at a safe house as a new, random survivor who has a different appearance and may have different skills. Your survival time goes back to 0 and you lose all of your equipment. If, though, your previous character didn't just die, you know, anyway, but was bitten by a zombie, which is an instant kill because, you know, these are classical zombies, which is great, then your previous self will actually remain where you lost them as a zombie. So once you restart, returning where you last died and hunting down your old character allows you to recover your lost gear. Now, some people might like to compare this technique to Dark Souls, where you lose all of your souls every death and can go back to collect them. And it's clear that the developers were inspired by Dark Souls. I mean, you have the spray paint system where players can write messages on the walls for other players and stuff like that. But back to the death system, there's one major difference between these two games. In Dark Souls, you're always dying, whereas in ZombiU, you actually die pretty rarely. It's not like the game is going out of its way to be super challenging or anything. You really just die a standard amount of times. But when you do die, you lose everything, making it much more difficult to actually get back to where you left off. It's not just currency you're losing guns, weapons, tools, other equipment, everything gone. This influences your playstyle. When you're walking around the safe house or large open areas, you progress pretty quickly, not afraid to explore every nook and cranny. When you enter a small space though, a tiny building with zombies down every corridor, you slow down, you get nervous, you get scared. We saw the survival part of the death system, but now we get a taste of the horror part. This is how it would be in real life. But games have always had trouble getting that across or getting players to express that in their behavior. Most horror games we play have little or no consequence for dying, so we just try and try again until we get it. And after you've been through the same situation 30 times, it's not scary anymore. Here though, as a player, a section like this freaks the crap out of you. You know you need to go further, but you know there's a risk you'll die. If that happens, you can't just restart and try again, because actually making it to this building from the safe house is too difficult without all of the gear you had. And even if you do make it, you still have to manage to kill the whole horde of zombies that your previous survivor is now a part of before you can pick back up all of your stuff. You can alternatively spend a couple of hours revisiting places you've already been, hoping to find enough new guns and gear to get back to where you were. But even that presents a risk, because you might die while searching. And if that happens, or if it takes too long, by the time to get back to where you had to be, your old zombie self might not even be around anymore, and new zombies might have populated the building. This super simple, fantastic death system for a zombie game sticks with you, worries you, and influences every decision you make. For example, one of the first times I had played, I found a hallway with a couple of zombies hanging around that hadn't spotted me, and I started to come up with a plan to take them out. I could run in and shoot them, but that would leave me with very little ammo left, which I might need for later. I had recently found a landmine in some munitions box though, and I thought maybe I could use it. Problem was, I didn't know how it worked. You know, I'm just a normal survivor, and I was afraid that I might use it improperly. I ended up deciding to use it though. I thought it would be safer. I tried sneaking up on them, but then one of them spotted me. I didn't have time to pull out a gun, so I dropped the mine and tried running away. But the zombie triggered the mine before I could get clear, and it took me down with it. The death system freaked me out. It stressed me to a point that I made a bad decision. A decision I wouldn't have made if that's not how the death system worked. I tried preserving equipment and ammo for long-term survival by using something I didn't know the function of, which got me killed. At least it wasn't a big deal. I was able to go back and get all my stuff, because my character didn't die from a zombie bite, so he wasn't a zombie and I was able to pick up everything really easily. But even that, I mean, sometimes you start to grow fond of your characters. Like, at one point I managed to play as this special forces guy, and I managed to keep him alive for the majority of my playthrough. I had grown attached to this guy. He was my favorite character so far. So at one point I had to go through this dark sewer-like area. There were a lot of zombies. So I turned my flashlight off in order to stay hidden. What I didn't know was that one of the zombies in front of me was a firefighter and had some sort of tank on his back. When I took him out, the tank exploded, blowing me up along with it. It made me so upset. This guy had survived through all these different trials, taken out tons of zombies, collected all sorts of gear, and finally, such a stupid mistake got him killed. At least it didn't get me the second time in the sewer. I popped that guy's head off like a freaking cherry tomato, just pop! Oh, gone, hello. The game teaches you not to get too used to any mechanic. Don't keep whacking every zombie, because now we're gonna throw an explosive one at you. And if you hit him, he blows you up. And the way they do that is they'll throw them to you in a situation where you're not prepared. For example, you're picking a lock on a door and suddenly you see a door behind you burst open and a zombie comes out. Now you have your paddle equipped because you know that's just what you do. You whack all the zombies, but that zombie's a firefighter and boom, you're gone. That's the game's way of saying stop relaxing, stop keeping cool, stop getting used to what you're doing, think differently, because we're gonna throw stuff like this at you when you don't expect it. And that's freaking phenomenal. But see, just the fact that I can tell these sorts of stories about a game is amazing. How many other games can you do that with? You know, like tell stories just like they happen to you. Not so many, and that just goes to show how immersive this game is. Every single move you make in this game is well thought out by you, the player. You can never act mindlessly, and the game never tells you what to do. It's up to you, and it takes a while sometimes to come up with a decision because of the death system. So there's this one part where you find another survivor's booby traps in this park. He places placed a ton of explosives all over the field and you have to decide what to do. Do you just walk past them and move on? Maybe you can use them as a trap for the zombies later. You know, lead them into the minefield and get them all killed without wasting any of your own resources. But maybe you'll mess up and blow one up yourself. That would suck. So do you detonate them all from a safe distance away? Make the area safe to walk? That's a lot of explosions. Maybe it'll attract a bunch of zombies. Now you won't have just wasted a ton of bullets shooting up all of the mines, but you'll have to kill all of the zombies that come pouring through the walls. Every player will have to make a decision here, and nobody's there to help them. The game in no way tells you which is the best decision. It's up to the player to think about and potentially fail. Nobody's holding your hand, just like a real zombie apocalypse. So far we've talked about just one feature, death, and we've already seen how great of an experience it can give the player, and hopefully you've realized how much replay value it adds to the game. So let's go a little bit back. Remember how The Last of Us had two main modes of gameplay, exploration and combat plus sneaking? Remember how dumb that was? That you just kind of walk around at a slow pace looking at stuff and collecting things until suddenly your running animation changes and you move quicker and you realize, uh-oh, I guess I'm supposed to be fighting bad guys now or something. I hope you do remember it. Because, like I said, that was dumb. No survival horror game should be able to get away with that. Having survival and horror, exploration, and fighting be presented scenario by scenario in mutual exclusion. You shouldn't be able to look at a game and go, oh, okay, this is the part where I'm supposed to relax and look for scissors on the ground, and then the next part go, oh, okay, now I'm supposed to pull out my gun and shoot things. No, these events should be sprinkled around loosely. You shouldn't be able to tell which mode you're in. You should be able to perform exploration tasks during combat, and combat tasks during exploration. The game shouldn't limit you based on weird rules or story, and you should absolutely not have different behavior available when performing in these two modes. The game should feel fluid. Transitions shouldn't be so hard like that. You should always have access to all of your abilities. Okay. Anyways, ZombiU doesn't do any of that bullshit. You're not sometimes surviving and sometimes fighting. You are always in both survival and horror modes. You want to stop and rummage through a drawer, open up a box, or search a body for stuff? Okay, but you're gonna have to put your bag down on the floor. Look away from your TV screen to manage your inventory on the gamepad screen, and hope that no zombies sneak up on you while you're busy. Collecting, healing yourself, switching weapons or items, and managing inventory are more survival-related tasks, but are now tied directly to combat. You can't pause the game. Zombies are always after you. If you want to patch yourself up or pick up a new item, you've got to get a safe distance away. Make sure you're in the clear. Or just try to fight your way to safety. If you don't, a zombie can get you when you're most vulnerable. This, again, slows you down. Forces you to think. You can only take a couple of swipes before you die. And if you're distracted, a single bite will kill you. So you're never interacting with survival and combat mechanics in isolation. You're always doing both. Your guard is never down. This is survival horror. My god, and it took Ubisoft to do it. Congratulations. Honestly, no, seriously, fantastic work. I mean, even when it comes to selecting items to take with you, you have a backpack that you can upgrade, but even at its max size, it can't carry all that much. You have a bin at the safe house, but even it can't hold everything. At any point, you generally only ever have one extra clip for each type of gun, which might not even be full. To take a gun into the field, you need to take it and the ammo for it. Already, 2 slots are being used up. If you're feeling good, you can take the crossbow with just a single bolt and try to recover it after every shot, but if you miss or if the bolt breaks, now you have a whole wasted slot. You also only have 6 quick select slots on the gamepad, items that you can switch to without having to put the bag down. 2 are reserved for your flashlight and cricket bat, which, let's be honest, is the best melee weapon for a British zombie apocalypse. So you've got 4 left, and the 4 you choose will dictate your strategy. Maybe I'll hold my pistol for general use, a shotgun for when they come too close, my rifle for when I want to take them out from afar, and a flare to distract them. Oh, but wait, maybe I could use a flare to distract them and then toss in a Molotov cocktail to burn them up. That's my personal favorite strategy. So which gun do I swap out for the Molotov? Or hey, what if I just use my crossbow and landmines or something? Try taking them out silently and plant a mine if they spot me. You have all of these strategies available, and every player will choose their own strategies based on the challenges ahead and their own preferences and skills. That's great! The game forces you to make certain decisions, yeah, but at least you get to decide how you're gonna play it. Another important tool is the prepper pad. It's basically a gamepad-like thing that you can use to scan walls, containers, zombies, and more. It forces you to progress even more slowly. One of the most critical functions of the pad is the radar. My absolute favorite thing about it is how one of the first things the game teaches you is not to trust the radar. By tapping a button on your map, the radar is activated and enemies within its range are detected and displayed temporarily. What's What's great is that it only shows them for a short while. So it's not like a live feed or something. You have to still sit and wait and monitor your radar to get a sense of which points on the map are moving and which are just, standing still. Something you learn pretty early on is that the radar will pick up things other than zombies, like birds or rats. But most of the time you can tell which is which. So there's this one section which I think is probably the best part of the entire game, and possibly one of my favorite sections of not just any horror game, but maybe any game ever. You run out of gas at your safe house, so you have to go to the guy who runs the gas station. To get gas from him, you need to get medicine or something for him. To get it, you have to go to a daycare building, which, by the way, I just realized has a picture of freaking SpongeBob drawn in chalk on the brick wall. There's two of them. SpongeBob. SpongeBob is following me from one game to the other. Look at this, man. I can't get away from him. What do I have to do to get rid of SpongeBob? But anyways, the place is absolutely infested with zombies. And it's at this point the smallest and most complicated structure you've seen. You don't really know where you're going, so you just start exploring, checking every room, cautiously killing zombies as you move forward. At this point you have this auto-updating radar, so you keep checking it to see where the zombies are. It's a slow process, and it strains your nerves. Eventually the game starts playing weird, creepy sounds and music. You don't expect this, because up until this point the game hasn't done anything weird like this. It scares the crap out of you, but it's welcome. Between that, listening to these recorded messages left behind by the nursery staff, and just taking in these phenomenal visuals, you soon start to get this feeling of dread. Then, once you get to the basement, you see it. A massive cluster of heat signatures, larger than you've ever seen before. They're in a room that you can't really get into yet. The door is locked, but your radar can reach it. So you keep exploring, and you keep hearing them ping. You move around and check out other places, but are constantly reminded of them in that room. You start thinking about them. I mean, crap, you've never seen that many in a room before. Maybe, they can't be zombies. Maybe it's rats or something. You keep going. You keep thinking about them. They're always in the back of your mind. And then you see something really weird. Something you've never seen before. So now your thoughts are all over the place. Okay, something weird is going on. That's a lot of points. Maybe it's just rats? Or maybe it is zombies. But the door is locked. Why can't I get in? Oh, there's the medicine cabinet. Down at the end of the hallway. But what about that other thing I saw? What if as soon as I open this, something goes wrong, something makes too much noise, and then all the zombies in that room hear it and they bust through the door, and then they come charging at me, or maybe not, maybe there's nothing there, maybe I just have to take the medicine and get out of here? The game, this whole time, is building you up. All things considered, there's not actually much in the building. You're just walking around looking for something, but the fact that you keep hearing it ping gets to you. Your heart's pounding. You're terrified. You're scared. You have no idea what's going on. The developers created this situation. They've designed the experience that you're having right now. You're freaked out. You're worried what's in that room. That's all you're focusing on. You take the medicine and suddenly the floor collapses. Now you're in a completely different place. You have no clue what's happening. Soon you start hearing weird sounds again and the map stops working. And you realize pretty quickly that you're not alone. That weird thing you saw before, it's there with you, and it's unlike any of the enemies you fought before. The room full of things, the pings that you kept hearing, it was misdirection. The game tricked you into focusing on one thing when you should have really been worried about something else. Something that, yeah, sure is different, but isn't really that scary on its own. But the fact that you're not expecting it at all freaks you out. You're not thinking straight anymore. Your focus was on one thing, but now it's completely shifted. Something is after you. You have no idea where you are. You have no idea how to get back, and you're afraid to die down there. So finally you beat this wacko zombie, and you get to leave the basement. But the staircase takes you back up to the room with the pings. So the game built you up, whacked you with something you weren't expecting, let you have a moment of calm, and then built you right back up because it made you realize, yeah, that thing that we were misdirecting you with, it's still there. It wasn't just a distraction, it's still a threat, and you have to deal with it. Your heart goes from up to down to way back up again. Finally, you open the door and it's just rats. Just like that, it was nothing. The rats scurry away across the table and it's done. No more pings. The room is silent. You calm down again. You realize, okay, everything's good now. It's done. You've seen the worst of it. Now you just gotta leave. You take a couple of steps and then suddenly, boom, a freaking firefighter zombie! This section plays with your heart worse than anything you've ever seen before. The room that's been freaking you out the whole time that finally was revealed to be nothing, now suddenly actually does have something in it. A zombie who explodes when you kill him, and now you gotta watch out because you're in this tiny little freaking kitchen. What are you gonna do? So you kill him and it goes back to silence, your heart rate drops again, everything's good. And then you open the door and it turns out that the whole nursery's been overrun with more zombies. So you go crazy, you don't know what you're supposed to do. You don't know, are you supposed to be killing all the zombies? Are you supposed to just run? Are they just gonna keep coming? What do you do? So you act stupid, you waste all of your ammo, you have no bullets left, you're throwing Molotovs, you're throwing freaking flares, you have no clue what to do. Because the game has been tricking you. The game has been playing with your emotions, playing with your sense of security. You can't apply judgment anymore. You can't say, I'm gonna play defensively or I'm gonna play offensively because you have no clue what's going on. And you have no clue when it's gonna end. So you're stupid, you waste all your stuff, you get out of the building, the zombies don't chase you out, everything's good. You try to leave, go back to the safe house, a door is blocked, zombies are coming at you again! They get you! They just keep getting you! Every single time you thought it was over, it's not! They come right back and they whack you with something worse! Every single time! It's freaking phenomenal! I've never seen a game pull this off that many times without me expecting it after a certain point. Oh my god, it's fantastic. When people make fun of Ubisoft for making crap all the time, you gotta point them towards this game and say, hey, try this out. It's actually free on like PlayStation, or maybe it's not anymore. The video's probably too late for that. Anyways, at one point it's free. They ported it to all the other consoles, so now it's free on PlayStation. Go get it. Boom. This whole scenario, the entire section in the nursery is incredible. I can't believe how good it is and how scared it made me. But the game has a tendency to do stuff like that. Get you used to something and then take it away from you. Like I said before, they put a lot of emphasis on conserving ammunition, and then they give you the bat, a weapon that you can just whack zombies with, which consumes no bullets. But then they throw enemies with helmets at you, which need to be knocked off. So now if you have a group of zombies, which originally you could just whack with the bat a couple of times and they're out, this guy, first you gotta knock the helmet off his head. So now it's impossible to take out big groups just with the bat. Yeah, sure, ammo is important to conserve, but so is time. The zombies will keep charging at you, and if they're coming from all directions, eventually they will back you up into a corner if you're not able to clear out enough of them. Another thing that makes the game great is its use of visual effects. Yeah, okay, the Wii U isn't the most powerful console on the block, but dang does this look good. This great lighting, lens flares, and smudges add so much to the atmosphere. Just look at the freaking light from the cat rotating around, spinning around the room, going from the ceiling to the wall, stretching as it comes closer. That's crazy! The textures on certain things, even like back to the daycare, look at the freaking posters. Like, this looks so realistic. That's what you get when you use real assets. You take a real picture of a thing and you put it into a game. You want to put graffiti on the wall? Okay, don't design it on your own. Put real graffiti. Ask kids to draw on a chalkboard and then put that into the game on the wall, even if it's freaking SpongeBob. Who cares? Man, there's so much quality in these textures. It's surreal. It's almost unfair how photorealistic it is because everything here is made with real photos of real things. But man, does it look good. Now, all that said, the game is not perfect. And I've run into a couple of issues that I have to address. It would be unfair to just gloss over them, based on the things I've picked at from other games. So quickly, I'm going to go over some of the things that disappoint me. One of the things that bugs me that I wouldn't have found out unless I had actually made this video was how difficulty settings work. So the first time I played the game, which this was obviously a very long time ago and I didn't record, you know what, maybe I'll explain quickly what's going on here. So to record for this video, I already had a save file where I was at the last section of the game, but I didn't finish it. So what I did was, because you can only have one save file of the game, was that I completed the final section of the game on the file I had, which was on normal mode, and then after that I had to delete the file and restart a new game. And then my plan was to get up until that point, and that would, you know, cover the whole game. I have all the footage I need. But what I did was that when I started, I played in chicken mode, which is basically the easy setting, because I thought that would help me get to that point a lot faster, because all I really needed was the footage, and I knew there were specific things I wanted to talk about. But what I learned doing that was that the easy mode, you know, isn't that easy, and the normal mode is just ridiculously hard. Like, if you just want to have a normal playthrough of the game, you shouldn't play in normal mode, you should play in easy mode. You're gonna have a better time. Yeah, it's still gonna be hard, it's still gonna be challenging, it's still gonna be terrifying. If you pick the normal mode, really all that's gonna do is make you die a lot more often and take a lot more time just backtracking, collecting items, and all that. And it gives enemies like a lot more health or something. It's like, okay, I have the cricket bat, it's my melee weapon, and I want to whack a zombie a couple of times and knock out his brains and that's it. In normal mode, it'll take you like a good 5-6 hits to kill a zombie. Whereas in easy mode, it'll take like 3 and, you know, it's done. Which is a pretty realistic amount of hits to kill a zombie with. Or like, you know, headshots. You take out your pistol, you get one good headshot on a zombie and he's dead, because that's how it would work. But in normal mode, it takes like 2-3 shots to the face to kill a zombie, and you find less ammo than in easy mode. So what happens is you basically have to use the cricket bat all the time because sometimes you have no bullets. Easy mode is fun mode, you have a lot of stuff and you have a good time. Normal mode is get used to using the cricket bat all the time and whacking everybody in the face. Which sucks because the cricket bat is so freaking slow, you're just tonk, tonk, just knocking away at a freaking guy until he finally collapses. And that's something that bugged me too, but anyways. Now something I wasn't able to catch any footage of when I played for this video, but that happened to me a lot when I played the first time, was that the game would suddenly, you know, crash on me or it would freeze sometimes. I really wish I could show something, but I guess you just have to take my word for it. It's the only game to date that's ever frozen my Wii U, which is pretty sad, but anyways. Now, the music in the game is not fantastic. I mean, the main theme and some of the music that plays when you go into certain areas is great, but there's like this one like general purpose fighting theme, I guess, and it kind of ruins the mood of a lot of levels. What it kind of reminds me of is when Matthew Matosis talked about the combat music in Twilight Princess, the Zelda game. So you're in like a really serious section, you know, and suddenly the combat music plays, and then it cuts back to the serious music, and it's weird, you know? And what's really weird about the music is that it contains like these flapping sounds from like birds or something, because there's like this bird theme throughout. Don't ask me, but there's something about ravens or I don't know what. So you'll be fighting and you hear like doo, 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 and I kept thinking that birds were chasing me or something, but there weren't. It was just part of the music, and it's really weird. I don't know why they let some guy do that. Some guy with a freaking bird fetish. I don't know what's going on. But then sometimes they do pretty cool effects with sound. You know, it's a quiet game. It's a zombie apocalypse. There's not much. You're trying to listen for zombie sounds. And then in a couple of sections what happens is you're trying to get somewhere and suddenly you trigger an alarm and the alarm is going off. So one, it's attracting all the zombies towards you, and two, you can't hear the zombies because the alarm is so loud and it's unsettling. The alarm freaks you out. It stresses you out. It makes you do stupid things, and it's pretty cool, I guess. It bugs me because, you know, it's annoying, but that's what it's supposed to be. It's an alarm. It's supposed to scare you and freak you out and not make you feel very comfortable. But yeah, you have tons of other things where, you know, you have music playing and then you exit through a door and the music like is playing for like a little second and then it cuts off. Just weird stuff like that, but for the most part, it's pretty good. The serious problems I have with the game, though, have to do with certain specific bugs. You see, the game actually has two modes. The standard one is the one where you die and you turn into another person, but the other one is survival mode. It's where you have one life. If you die, the game is completely over. But it's the same as the normal game. It's not like anything's different or anything. So what that means is that the entire game is actually designed to be playable with a single life. The problem is, certain very critical game-breaking bugs make me beg to differ. There are a lot of issues that halt your progress, and just the fact that the game can kind of just crash or freeze at any point means that this is not the game that you can complete in one sitting or in one life. You can't speedrun this game because odds are it's going to crash at some point and you're going to have wasted everybody's time. But other than stuff like that, there's actually situations that halt your progress, that prevent you from proceeding any further. I was able to capture at least two just recording for this video. So there's this one point where you climb this tower and you go through a ladder and there's a door, but the door's locked and you can't go through it. But somehow a zombie on the other side of that door heard me or something and came rushing to the door and trying to get me. The zombie, however, could not actually get me because, you know, there was a door between us, which I was very grateful for. But I could see like its head clipping through and everything, but you know, like it couldn't actually get there. I tried whacking it with the bat or like trying to push it away, but I couldn't. There was a door between us. So the game has a couple of ladders. And to prevent the player from being able to exploit ladders, it does this thing where if you're trying to climb up a ladder or go down a ladder or do something when a zombie is within a certain proximity to you, a special animation will play where the zombie like grabs you and pulls you back. So if you were trying to go down the ladder, the zombie will pull you back up the ladder, whereas if you're at the bottom and you're trying to climb up, a zombie will grab your leg or something and pull you back down. And that's all great. That's really cool. It prevents you from being able to just hang on a ladder and just sit there and zombies can't get you. Problem was, this door where the zombie was stuck was very close to my ladder, which I had to go down. I had to go back to like the subway level or something. So every time I grabbed the ladder, because the zombie was close to me, it would play the animation where the zombie grabs me, except the zombie is on the other side of the door. The zombie should not be there. That was basically the issue. A zombie should not be in that location. So I tried whacking it, because there are certain situations where a zombie clips through a wall and you're able to knock them out with your bat. So I tried and I tried and I tried, but I wasn't able to get it. So finally I pulled out my handgun and I shot it in the face, which was enough for me to be able to get onto the ladder without it coming after me. So yeah, it's great. I was able to find a solution to it. I was able to shoot it in the face. But if I hadn't had any ammunition, if I had no bullets left in my gun, if I had no guns, if I had just walked around with my cricket bat, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I would not have have been able to get out of the situation. I would have been in this video game deadlock. My progress would have been halted 100%. I could not proceed any further. This is the highest priority. This is critical bug. And somehow it made it through. And that's really not good. And then another issue I encountered that was a progress halter, just as severe, though maybe less funky, but more straightforward. So after that part, after the daycare where I was getting to the door and all the zombies came after me, I managed to take them all out, and then I went to loot one of them, and the loot menu on my gamepad didn't pop up. It was just my standard map, and I had no options to exit looting, and my character was in, like he was crouched on the screen, and he was sitting there like, moving around, and I couldn't move the camera, I couldn't move out of it. I pressed every single button on the gamepad. Nothing was able to get me out of that state. So after all that stuff I did in the nursery, I was stuck. I could not move from this, and the last time I had saved was just before the nursery, so my only option was to quit, and I could have restarted and continued from that point, but at that point I was really upset and I was tired and I did not want to play any more of it, so I quit for that. That was the rest of, that was all my footage for that game. So these two issues are massive. Back when I worked as a QA tester, which I've mentioned a couple of times, we had rankings for the different types of bugs. And way at the top was anything that either halted your progress or removed progress. Those were the top of the top. Those were the worst possible things that can happen in a game. And here I have two classic examples. These are bad, these are critical, these are game breaking. Does that make the game bad? Because the reason I have to mention them is that these issues to ZombiU are equivalent to the issue with the 6 a.m. thing and being able to beat the game without actually being supposed to beat the game in Five Nights at Freddy's, that I made a whole video about. Although that issue was a little bit different. It wasn't about removing progress or halting progress, it was about allowing the player to progress even though they weren't supposed to. Which nobody would consider as high as the two others, but I think should be, because it kind of breaks the game. But anyways, the thing is though, I said that issue ruined Five Nights at Freddy's. And the reason it did was because Five Nights at Freddy's is a very simple game. You can theoretically play the entire game with 4 buttons. And because that's all Five Nights at Freddy's was, it destroyed the game. I think people should be critical about it. So I have to gauge how concerning these issues are for a game like ZombiU. ZombiU clearly is much more complex than Five Nights at Freddy's. But one of its core features, one of the main things about it, one of the things that you should be able to write on the back of the box is that this game is designed to be finishable with a single life. And these are two issues that prevent you from being able to do that. What if I wasn't smart enough or quick enough to realize that I was stuck looting a body that I wasn't actually looting? And what if there were zombies around me? And what if I was in survival mode where I only have 1 life? And what if I didn't realize that I should pause the game and quit and a zombie came up to me and killed me? The game would be over and it wouldn't have been my fault. I would have done nothing to deserve that. But survival mode is just one of the various playable versions of ZombiU. You have normal mode, you have chicken mode, you have survival mode, you have the multiplayer, which I've never played. Apparently it's fun though. You have all these different things, and just one of them is broken because of them. Yeah, sure, it's a nuisance to get stuck in a state like that when you're just playing the game doing anything else, but it's not as critical as the issues in Five Nights at Freddy's. It doesn't fundamentally break the game, at least not every playable version of it. Does it mean the game is bad? No. Does it mean the quality of the game is bad? Yes. This is something that I've been trying to explain in my videos a couple of times whenever it comes up. The answers to the questions whether or not a game is good and whether or not a game is of good quality are not necessarily identical. You could have an expertly crafted game that's crap. Nobody wants to play it. And at the same time, you can have a really fun game that has broken critical features. Just like I said about Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, it's broken. It's completely broken. But I had fun with it. Just like this game. Yeah, it has a couple of bugs that are really goofy, but for the most part, I had an incredible time. Not just an okay time, not just a good time, an incredible time. I thought at one point, I was going to explain a little bit more, but I realized I had started planning at one point, making a whole video not about a specific game, but about this subject. All in all, ZombiU is a fantastic game. I absolutely recommend that you pick it up. If you can get it for the Wii U, that's great. If you can't, get it for your PlayStation 4, get it for your Xbox One. I think it's even on Steam, probably. It's on your PC. Get it any way you can. It's a phenomenal game, and you will not regret playing it. I think it's probably the best horror game, yeah, survival horror, whatever you want to call it, the best of whatever genre it's in, because it's great. Yeah, it has little issues, but who cares? You'll have a really good time. It's a great game. I had a really good time. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'll see you next time on the road or the quest. I don't remember what I called it at the beginning of the video. What did I call it? Whatever I said, to Metal Gear Solid 5. Zeus, buddy, how you doing? I was worried you... Anyways, thank God you're okay. Thank Zeus. Actually, Zeus, buddy, you're a genius. You're a genius. That's what we need. That's what we need. Come on, let's go. Come on. No. No, come on. Come on. We gotta go this way. We gotta go that way. Come on. Come on. Come on. No. Okay, you stay here. Keep watch. Bye. Hello and welcome to the end screen. Today's video is brought to you by green Tabasco. It's the jalapeno. They just call it green pepper sauce, but it's they just call it green pepper. I thought it used to actually be called. Oh no, yeah, it says jalapeno on the tip right there. See, jalapeno. Jalapeno. So I'm going to have some jalapeno sauce in my mouth, and it's going to be a good time. Oh my God, I need to stop. Oh my God. Oh crap, that's a lot harder than I remembered. Oh my God, I just, whoa. Okay, anyways, I talked quickly in the video about how somebody requested that I do a video about what I'm talking about when I say quality of games versus, like, is a game fun and good or whatever. What I like to say a lot is that, yeah, you can have fun with a rock and a string and a stick, and it's a great time. That's a bad example. Like, you can have fun with a chess set if all the pieces are missing. You could come up with something to do and you'll have a good time. Problem is, you'll not be having a good time as intended. And when it comes down to actually playing the game as intended, you can't because the game is broken. As I was saying, at least one person actually contacted me about saying, like, hey, you should make a video about this because I like what you're saying, and nobody talks about that enough. When it comes to movies, people can be, like, generally critical about them. You know, people have no idea what they're talking about and they get paid like $1 million to, you know, write the next review for Iron Man or whatever. But you also have people who go deep in, people who are, you know, maybe film experts, who are cinematographic experts. What am I even saying? And they can go in and not just review the story of a movie or the feel of the movie in the movie theater, but the shots, how the movie is made, how the colors are, I don't do movies anymore, but you have people who can go into that. The problem is with games, most of the people who are paid a lot of money to do this have no experience in games, unlike the people in film. And the majority of the time it's actually people who went from movie reviewing into game reviewing. And it's a very different thing. You can't review a game critically unless you know something about software, because when you find a bug, you need to be able to describe it. I think, at least. And that's why I go to great lengths to explain the bugs I find. For example, I made a 56 freaking minute video about Resident Evil 5 because of a freaking issue I had! Oh my God! Actually, I think the best example of what I'm talking about, the type of review I'm talking about, I was gonna say my own video, but you probably go to, like, if you're looking for someone with experience in, like, both, go to Matthew Matosis. I've talked about him a lot. Even I mention the two of them all the time, Super Bunny Hop and Matthew Matosis. If you're into me and the crap I do, you're absolutely gonna be into them. If you're looking for someone a little bit more advanced, there's a guy, I need to find him. I put him, okay, you know what? I don't know the guy's name anymore, but he's really freaking cool. He has a channel. I put him in my, like, related channels bar. Oh man. Actually, there's another guy I found. I'm gonna shout out some people today. Oh, I'm gonna shout out some guys. Actually, at least one guy. I posted him on my Twitter one day because I found this guy's video and it was really good. And he had, like, no subscribers. He had nobody watching his stuff. And I looked, and it's, like, really ridiculously high quality, and it makes me happy that people do this, you know? Like, to me, it's my hobby. I don't work harder the more people watch it. I've been working just as hard as I am now since the beginning. So, and that's what I'm just gonna keep doing. I know I had originally a list of people I wanted to shout out, but I don't have it with me right now. But one of the guys I want to mention to everybody here is, youtube.com/geekstop1. His actual name is, that's his users, whatever, but his actual name he goes by on YouTube is, I think it's .0. Tell me it's .0, tell me it's .0, tell me it's .0. Hey, it was .0, I knew it. Okay, .0, but with a 3 instead of an E and the 0. He makes dang good videos. Oh, sorry, the other guy I was talking about before was Seamus Young. He has quite a couple, and he's actually like a game developer. He's made a game and he's a programmer, and I think he has expertise in graphics, and he talks a lot about that. So if you're looking for that sort of stuff, or if, you know, I'm trying to tell you, like, the stuff I'm talking about, the sort of critical review. Like, I think Seamus Young reviewed a single feature in, like, Grand Theft Auto 4. He made an entire video talking about, like, the respawning feature. That's what I'm talking about. These are critical game reviews. You gotta be able, not just critical, but, like, technical game reviews. I'm gonna take another swig because I seem to be making too much noise. Oh man. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that Yeah, some guy contacted me, and the guy who contacted me was a developer. And what he was saying was, the people who review games don't go this far. They review games from the surface level. As soon as somebody's making a review, I think I've said this before, but as soon as somebody's making a review and they section off their video into like sections, they go like story. Now I'm gonna review the story. Then like gameplay. Now I'm gonna review the gameplay. And then like music. It's like, shut up, man. Get out of here. Stop making reviews. Stop talking about games. Don't do that. That's dumb. Because of course, I think I was watching like a Mario Kart review one time, and this guy's reviewing Mario Kart, and he goes like, story. He's like, this game doesn't have a story, so I'm just gonna skip this part. It's like, so why do you even put it in the freaking video? Just cut it out, moron. God dang it. I'm sorry, the peppers made me really mean. I'm really not that mean for real, but anyways. So that's what I'm saying. People section things off, and gameplay is a section as important as story and music and other stuff, or visuals or whatever, graphics or whatever. Shut up. Gameplay is the core of the game. The logic behind how the game works. Yeah, there's triangles, things. There's a million triangles. There's a million polygons made up of triangles and vertices and lines on your screen. Yeah, great. But the gameplay, if what you mean by gameplay is what I think you mean by gameplay, is the logic that controls all of these freaking triangles and does things with them. And that is the most important part of the game. And when people just gloss over that, talk about like it doesn't even matter, that bugs me. And that bugged this other guy who contacted me and said, you should do a thing about that. And I said, you know what? I should. That's a really good freaking idea. I was on Twitter the other day and I get a notification, it's like, you have a new follower, and I check, and it like, I read it, I was like, who is this guy? So I read his description, and it's like, professor of formal methods at University of Switzerland or something, and I'm like, oh god, what have I become? But anyways, so, I mean, that makes me happy, kind of. Anyways, back to where I started off. I don't remember what if I said it already, but anyways, the idea was I kind of wanted to make a video specifically about that subject. Software quality, what it is, how it applies to games, why it matters in games, and stuff like that. And one of the case studies I wanted to use was I don't have it here, but Metal Gear Solid 5. That was one of the topics I wanted to use to cover requirements engineering, because that's a thing that you probably have never heard of, but it is the most important step in making a software, okay? So, I'm not burping this time though. Every other pepper I've had or drink I've had, I've burped. So the reason I'm bringing this up is that I'd like to do that, but only if anybody actually cares. Maybe here, I'll turn it into a question. 2 questions. 1, do you actually care? 2, do you not maybe understand what I'm talking about? Like in this video when I talked about ZombiU, does that kind of go over your head at all? Because if it does, I want to know, because I want to spend the time to focus on that. Yeah, this is the internet. I'm making a video for fun and entertainment, but I'm also here to educate you. I'm here to teach you something. If you walk out of one of my videos and you haven't learned something about games, and if I haven't been able to learn something myself about a game and been able to pass it on to you, then I've failed. That's what I'm here for. I want to change the idea of gamer videos on YouTube. I'm here. I'm an engineering student. I'm at the end of my degree, and I'm talking about games, and I'm talking about engineering, and I'm talking about software. We're gonna have a good time. So, let me know. Those 2 questions. If it's a serious concern, I'm going to address it in a video. It's important. It's important to me that people understand where I'm coming from. Because, yeah, absolutely, not everybody's from the same background as me. Not everybody knows what I'm talking about. And I want to make myself clear for the future or whatever. Oh, now I'm burping. Hey, I'm burping. Anyways, that's it for now. I have to make a joke about the game, but it's like a horror game. You can't really make a joke about it, necessarily. I mean, it was okay. It was a good game. It was a really good game, honestly. Like, anyways, I'm gonna go get some water and maybe have some supper. Bye-bye, you